James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion. So he is writing to these groups of Jews that over time, over a period of several hundred years, that had been basically dispersed away from their homeland of Israel and were living in Gentile nations away from the coverage and the protection of being amongst their people in Israel. Many of them were treated very, very poorly. What items they did have with them whenever they dispersed and they ran from Israel for whatever reason they did, that was taken from them. It was pillaged. They were subjected to conditions that was worse than slaves. They were without the ability to provide for themselves. They couldn't just go out and get jobs or have farmland to raise food. They were in poverty, and they lived amongst a people that absolutely hated them. And could you imagine that? Going somewhere that is foreign, none of your people that you know, your family is really around, and these people hate you. There's no way to make a way to live for yourself. Maybe it's a situation like this. Like imagine getting moved to a new school. You walk into the lunchroom. Everyone just starts laughing at you, pointing, laughing. Maybe some people start throwing food at you. Some guy walks up, takes the food that you do have on your plate, throws it onto the ground. Imagine then the teachers come in and they blame you for the mess, make you clean it up, and then run the dishes and the mop to clean the mess up. This would be a pretty traumatic event if a child were to go through all of this. But this is not a one-day thing the Jews were going through. These dispersed Jews, this was their life. They woke up every day to these conditions just because they were Jewish. On top of that, these were Jewish Christians. They were faithful to the gospel. They did not bow their knee to the pagan gods of the Gentile nations. And so that added extra heat and persecution on top of that because they refused to follow along with the pagan traditions of whatever Gentile nation and country they were in. I mean, this is lowly. Not saying that our issues that we are challenged with are insignificant, but this is more lowly than I can't pay my bills. Someone called me a bad name. I got laid off. The gossiping about me. I mean, this is really low. And James has the goal to tell them, boast in your exaltation. So the question could be presented to us, is James clueless? Or does he possess a bit of wisdom that is divine that we really need to understand and know? Here is what James knows that these Christian Jews need to be reminded about every day they wake up to the conditions that they wake up to. And here's the thing that we need to remind ourselves of as well. There is a great reversal coming. There's coming a time when their sufferings will be turned on its head, and the low will be made high, and the high will be made low. Matthew 23:12. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. The lowliness of mind that is produced from their low condition of living actually makes them closer to God. Their economic poverty has produced in them a connection to spiritual poverty, and this is a good thing. Matthew 5:3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. James did not see them and pity them. James looks at these people and sees them as advantaged. He sees them as the advantaged ones. Because of their lowliness in position, produced a lowliness in spirit that drew them closer to the Lord. They understood things about the kingdom that a person of affluence never could. They understood the heart of the kingdom. They understood what it looked like to wake up every day and be completely and totally dependent upon God for literally everything. This is something that people who aren't lowly can't understand. And though it would seem to be a disadvantage to be lowly in this world, It's actually a great advantage in eternity. James knew these people were close to God. They had so many reasons to rejoice, because the truth is that because they were close to God, and because that was easy for them because of their low condition, that they were actually exalted in the heavens. And that's what really matters. Romans 8:17, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God and fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with him in order that we may also be glorified with him.